Welcome to the 20th episode of Window Shop with Car and Driver. This week, we are looking at cars to race in the 24 Hours of Lemons. And the 24 Hours of Lemons is a racing series set up by one of our guests today, Mr. Jay Lamm. And Jay started it back at the end of 2006, right, Jay?
Yeah, that's right.
And it started with a race out at Altamont, and Car and Driver actually participated. I actually wrote a story about it. And I raced a 1995 Oldsmobile Aurora. We finished 16th. And our sister magazine at Road and Track actually won the race when we pushed them across the finish line with our Aurora. So today we're going to look at a $500 budget and what we want to race in the 24 Hours of Lemons. We're also joined by former Car and Driver editor-in-chief Chubba Chetta, and now contributor Chubba Chetta. So he's also raced in several Lemons races. Casey Colwell has also raced in a couple of Lemons races, right, Casey?
Yeah, we did the second Altamont, the second Lemons race together in that RX-7, and then
we raced in Flat Rock too.
Yeah, Flat Rock, and I don't know, a couple others maybe.
And then we also have Jonathan Ramsey, our senior editor, on board today because he is a lover of cheap cars, and how do you not have Jonathan Ramsey on the show? So Jonathan, you want to take it away?
Sure. So I know nothing about Lemons other than what I've seen and been told, which sounds fantastic. So I went for an American vibe, but I wanted 3 different feels. Now this is not one of my cars. I just thought it looked so good. It was so hard to pass up.
Good.
You broke Jay's heart.
Yeah, so good.
How can you not love?
It's even got the tint, the blackout wheels. I mean, come on.
Exactly. And he says almost vintage collector car, which is no better description.
Jay, have you had a Breaking Bad theme?
Yeah, we've had a couple. Needless to say, if you bring an Aztec, that's the first place you go is a Breaking Bad theme. Boy, though, that's really a good one.
So this is my Apex Assassin Astro.
It's all-wheel drive.
Exactly. No one's going to touch me in the corners. So I got one hubcap that's different than the rest. That's got to be a good sign. It needs a differential and a U-joint, but easy peasy.
Pretty rusty. I'm a little worried about that rust.
Yeah, I don't know. Were these things body on frame?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is lightweighting is what they call that. I think that's
Superleggera. It's an Astro Superleggera.
I have a dream. I have a dream of racing in Lemons, just a frame, sort of like the Duesenberg frame that they had in the showroom, and then you could repack it. Just erase the frame with a steering wheel and a cage around you. Jay, would that be legal?
No, absolutely not. However, we have been encouraging somebody to take a body on frame, and this could be it. I wanted to say, really, this strikes me. This is essentially Walter Rorrell's, Audi Quattro GTO car right here.
Thank you.
It's a front engine all-wheel drive. I don't know how you're not going to dominate on this thing. No, we've been trying to convince somebody to take a frame car like this and make an 8/5 scale Lotus Super 7 and call it the Super Duper 7 and have the guy wear a giant helmet. Nobody's done that yet, so we would let you do that.
Is there a weight limit, Jay? There used to be a weight limit, right?
Yeah, 4,200 pounds. But this Astro, you're not even. It's not gonna be an ounce over 4,150. So you're
gonna get a waiver on that.
Yeah,
Jay,
no.
You haven't exactly been enforcing that weight limit. I seem to recall a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow with a Viper engine in it. There was no way that was under 4,200 pounds.
If there was ever a case study for why there should be a waiver, it's a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow with a Viper engine. Yeah.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
My second choice is,
yeah.
This is Captain America, but I want you to notice the spelling. I'm going to call it the Cadillac. This is not a Cadillac. This is the Cadillac.
I love it.
My sporty, there's only either side of it. I might leave the driver's side mirror like that during the race, just so people know who's coming.
Yeah, I think we all quickly discovered that when the listings are below $1,000, people just don't have a lot of photos.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
There's a certain competence in life that both gets you to a place where you have a $500 car that you desperately need to sell, and you can't have more than 2 photographs in a Craigslist ad.
That's a good Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has the sense though to get a bright yellow Focus. What is that? ZX3?
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, he's got the wherewithal.
Does this STS run? It's the 2nd generation. I think it's an STS. It's got the STS wheels, or maybe it's an SLS.
You talk about the Focus. If you go back to the previous picture, check the paint on the siding of the house. You know, it's sort of.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is that a
we're
Ram
talking
back
about
there
here.
too?
But that's the next door neighbors.
Oh.
Yeah, don't get it confused.
So those North Stars do blow up, though, Jonathan. They have head issues, head bolt issues.
Tony, eventually the universe is going to blow up. So I can't really worry about that. I got to win this race, and this car will do it. My favorite.
Fair enough.
It says it's a 6-cylinder. Is that accurate?
No.
No.
It is now.
Yeah. 6 of them run.
Yeah.
The Aurora, Casey, the Aurora that we raced in the first race was a V7 for, I think, 90% of the race.
This one is my ace in the hole, my favorite.
Oh, that is nice. I saw this one.
Yeah, Tony found this one actually, but I feel like royalty when I look at this picture, and I call it the Broham. And I'm going to have like 7 names when I register because this is the Maybach of the event. Look at that.
Look at that. That crumple zone in the rear, too.
It's in good shape.
Yeah, it's in great shape.
How many miles? It's got a lot of miles, though. But it's the 3800, which is a great engine. I don't know how great it is in races. Jay, how does the 3800 fare in races?
It fares pretty well. I mean, it goes around the track sounding awful pretty much for the whole duration. No, that's a great choice. That's, the transmission's going to take a dump 45 minutes into the event, but it's going to keep running. You'll just be in the paddock in no gear, but it will keep running.
Again, we're all going to take dumps eventually. I feel like we need to give the cards due. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's in South Dakota, I think. So it's had probably a pretty, not too salty life, hopefully.
That's a C-class slam dunk winner right there.
Yeah, I like that car.
Yeah.
And it's an Oldsmobile. I got to stick with Oldsmobile too, Jonathan.
There's my picks.
That's a good car.
Yeah, it works, which is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Chubba, do you want to take us through your picks, sir?
Sure. And I will say that I was looking at this as a fairly veteran Lemons racer. I don't know how many races I've done, but it's like 25 or 30.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it from some notion of actually, doing well here. And I'm also thinking that let's get low price and maybe a non-running car and then get it running and end up with a better machine. So
how's that theory worked out for you so far, Chubba?
Well, it's getting better. It's better than it used to be. That's for sure. So, do you guys see this?
God, yes, unfortunately.
So this is one of the best choices, I would say. And if you look at this is, it needs a little bit of front body work for sure.
Okay.
But I imagine putting some simple sheet metal, making it look like the Cunningham Monster at Le Mans with sort of a semicircular nose on it, just going straight down to the ground. Lots of downforce. Notice it's manual transmission.
Yeah. And it runs. It runs, Chubba.
And it runs. And if you look at it, it's
scroll through the photos.
No, wait, hold on. It says engine runs and was driving okay before accident.
But
yeah,
still runs.
Might need a radiator, a fan, a few other minor things.
Long block,
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to want to scroll through. I'm not quite sure.
What if you select the photos?
Pardon? Okay.
The photos there.
Okay, there you go.
That's a lot of damage, Chubba.
Yeah.
There's some weird camber going on in the rear, or maybe that's just the angle of the lens.
That's simply because it's a little bit unweighted. I mean, I suspect this car is
a little bit unweighted.
No, I suspect it's twisted a little bit, but you know, if we look at this photo, you know, it's going to need a little front end work, but you know, that's an opportunity to put in some lowering springs or whatever.
It's got M3 wheels.
I was going to say those are the M3. Those are the optional wheels. Those are really nice wheels.
It's got
There you go.
mirrors too.
What's that?
Oh yeah, it's got the M3 mirrors too.
And I can't quite see this, but
I think that's a 2. I think the
That's
first number
definitely a
was 2.
230220.
yeah, it's got a few miles on it. But you know, but this has some potential in that, you know, these BMWs, they're fast, they get good mileage, they're rear drive, they don't use up their half shafts. It just takes a little bit of work to whip it into shape.
You're going to be replacing those rear half shafts though already with that. I mean, it looks like the rear end got hit.
Well, it could be.
And the front.
It could be that the front end is tweaked, and that's what's making the whole car not sit right. So let me give you another choice.
I just want to say, I predict that BMW, you're right in a sense, Chubba, because you could do a lot of work to that, get it on a frame jig, straighten it up. You could probably make a pretty fast race car. And the only problem I really see with it is no matter what you do, it's still going to finish 20 positions down on Jonathan's Oldsmobile.
Oh,
No, you figured that. I mean, we finished 4th in the last race.
How well, we probably in a public forum don't want you to be on the spot of what you had to do to get there.
Well,
Having TC Klein in your pocket's helpful.
It's a nice car.
Slow and
So
steady though, Jay. Slow and steady. Jeff definitely wins the race.
Yeah.
So let me show you another possibility.
That is inexpensive.
These Honda Civics are pretty nice. Now, it has a head gasket leak. This guy, he says it ran when he bought it. He pulled the motor, wanted to deep clean it and replace the motor mounts, and then kind of the project fell by the wayside, and now his sister or wife or someone is yelling at him to get it out of the garage.
look,
But
ran when it parked and ran when I bought it is Craigslist speak for this car will never run again.
Yeah.
Well-
All cars ran when parked. That's the definition of parked.
There you go. There
But
you go.
look at the wheels on this car.
Yeah.
This
This is a winner.
This car is in good shape, and these cars have a good competition history. Again, they're pretty quick, they handle well, mileage is good, and
It's not going to be rusty. I think it's in Texas. Is it in Texas, Chubba?
I think this is in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah. So no
Oh,
rust.
Houston. So this
Butt
is
damage, maybe.
This is a reasonable possibility, I would say. Now
Yeah.
here's another one, Mini Cooper S, supercharged with a manual, $800. So a little bit of bargaining is called for here. And again, this one shut down on the highway with no warning. Notice the spelling of warning, WORNING. Now, I figure it can't be any real major problem because a guy who can't even spell warning is certainly not going to do an easy diagnosis on an engine. This could be something.
These minis are very unreliable. I think it'll die as soon as you drive it off the trailer at the track.
Well, and it could be, and I certainly don't want to be one of those guys who starts the race with the car up on blocks.
That's what this will be you.
We've
Trevor,
had a
you also
couple of these.
notoriously hate minis.
What's that?
You are. I mean, it was known around the office that you hated minis.
I do hate minis.
Okay.
But
We've
it
had
does
a couple of these, and I gotta say, one of them was a complete nightmare, and it was up on blocks, and it wouldn't run coming off trailer. The other one, the guys drive it to the race, and it's been in like 5 races. They drive it to the race with tires strapped to the roof. They race the whole weekend. They strap the tires back to the roof, and they drive home. I mean, it's been utterly reliable. So
Supercharged one? Was it a supercharged one like this one?
no, that's a very good distinction, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think this is going to suffer from fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And this is a wasn't this a Chrysler engine at its basis?
Ooh.
I think this is a Chrysler engine.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that either.
Yeah, the
current
second one was a
BMWs,
Peugeot.
but not this one.
I think this one was a Chrysler engine. The second one was a Peugeot.
Oh, much better.
So let me give you my last choice. And this is a class act. This
Best
is an
for last.
For those
Jeff. I think
22s?
Save the best for last.
All right.
and this is in not bad shape.
Wait, scroll down to the description.
Again, this car was running a few months
Oh, my
back.
goodness.
Now it won't start. But it has aftermarket cats, has race cats on it already, ready to go. So he only wants to sell it for parts. I mean, the reality is, this car is probably going to be a little thirsty, and that's not ideal. And the other thing is, these things are notorious for their computer problems. I mean, there's like 30 computers on the car, and they all screw up, and they're very, very hard to diagnose. But it would be a class piece to show up and run in Lemons, and that's
It would be fast. It would be really fast until the chain guide tensioners fail, and then the engine just dies.
Yeah, I mean, the upholstery is a little crappy, but again, that's going to be taken right out of the car. So who cares? Minor, front apron damage.
That's no problem.
For $500, it's actually a pretty good car.
How many miles are on it, Chubba? Say? It
Doesn't say. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, it's definitely been to the moon. Jay, there have been some E32 750s, right, with the V12. Didn't one of those
and they've been incredibly terrible. We've had a couple
of E38s. Have you had E38s like this one?
I don't think so. No, that's not right. I think we had one. There was a team of Army Special Forces guys that have showed up with this car. I think it's this generation. And it has just been a spectacular disaster. And if you're a Special Forces guy and you're back from a 9-month deployment in Afghanistan and you can't make this work, you've really, really got problems. Now, I mean, it's big. It's got too many computers, just like you say. The wiring is terrible on these things. There's a million things to go wrong. The tensioners are terrible on these. On the other hand, to your point, Chubb, and I agree with you. I mean, if you got this thing and you put a brick under the accelerator so that nobody could get past half throttle and you just went around and around, total class act. And you would still beat the crap out of that E36 that you started with, because this would still be running and the E36 would not. So I think this is a winner. I like this. I give this a big thumbs up.
Well, good. Thank you.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, me personally, no way in hell. But you, Chubba, doing it, I think is a great idea.
It's not so good for me, but for you.
All I have to do is
looks good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I go to Atlanta, rent a car trailer go to Atlanta with my beater Cayenne and haul it home. No problem.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
No, I like it.
Thank you. Thank you for your very well thought out choices, Chubba. If you want to unshare, we'll kick it over to Casey Colwell. See what Casey has to present.
Okay, how's that?
There we go.
All right, so I will start off with saying that I have a after racing the RX-7 with Tony a couple of times, rear wheel drive, Japanese, preferably Wankel, is I think just a recipe for winning, because
yeah, our RX, we had that FC RX-7 which finished. What did it finish?
We finished third, and that was only because the camera crew made us come in for a black flag.
Yep, and then we finished second at Altamont and led most of the race. And then Tony Swan crashed it, and then Jared took it out to Thunder Hill, and it finished sixth.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of water. Yeah, they didn't change the oil until they got there, and it was like milkshake that came out of it, and they were like, and it ran the whole time. It's like, those Wankels, just like you said, Tony, they just fail slowly. It's not like a catastrophic event, but they
fail longer than most cars run at all.
Yeah, but that said, I could not find an RX-7 or anything else close to it. So I went a different direction, as you can see from this Volvo.
This is a good choice.
It looks moderately clean. There is admittedly some front end damage from a crash.
It's got the bigger wheels from the turbo.
Yeah. And well, so I would probably have to purchase the wheels in a separate transaction in order to get closer to $500 on this. Because wheels and tires don't count against me, right?
Correct.
Yeah, those wheels are definitely a separate transaction. And the interior is pretty clean, and there are these Volvos there are people who like them and collect them and could probably part out some of this stuff to get below $500.
You can sell those back seats, no problem.
Yep. And I would paint it up like that bad boy. And it wouldn't be that quick, but it'd probably be fun, and it would probably go quite a ways. This shot of the the engine with what looks to be a bungee cord where the fan should be is a little alarming, but
there's a lot of room in that engine bay.
Yeah, and that's another thing about transaxle cars, especially like front engine transaxle cars. Like, there's a lot packed in there, so when you got to do stuff, it sucks, right? And
there's plenty of room. I don't think a radiator. Is there a radiator?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't say. It was. This was another one. It was ran when parked. But it passed. This is I think a Portland car. I think I'm somewhere near
2017.
Portland. Yeah.
That's the B20, isn't that the B20 engine? And I think it was fuel injected by 83, so it's like 114 horsepower. It's not going to be quick.
Is it 100? Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't find one that we actually tested that was of that era. But if you're saying it's 114,
that's an earlier one. I think that one.
Yeah, it is an earlier one. Yeah.
So Phil Graydon and Eric Rude did this massive data crunch a little while ago, asking the question, what platform does the best? And it's a sliding scale of how far up in the standings and how many of them were there and how many of them didn't finish at all. They had this wacky formula, and what they came up with was one of your best bets in Lemons is that platform, because you're never going to win, but you're going to be in the top 20% pretty often, just because you're going around and around and around, and it isn't fast enough to hurt itself.
Right.
So I think that's a perfectly fine thing. And I don't want to give anybody bad ideas, but yeah, that engine bay is huge, and all kinds of lovely things will fit in there. Junkyard small block Fords, junkyard BMW V8s. A lot of things will fit in there. Nice, like an S54 will just slot right in there. You'll have to hope that the guy doing your inspection doesn't know an S54 when he sees one. But, that's 3/4 of our guys. So you can have a decent chance at that. So, no, I think that's an excellent choice.
Yeah, I mean, the engine swap would definitely be in its sophomore campaign.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
in the trunk, what is that flap that opens up onto like some Harry Potter black?
It's like a smuggler's box.
Yeah. This is the Millennium Falcon of Volvos.
Okay.
I mean, I'm guessing
Columbia.
Yeah.
I like it. It's rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's rear-wheel drive with manual. Axle. That was one thing. Our RX-7 was an automatic that I don't think I'd want to deal with an 80s or even a 90s automatic, shift programming on a racetrack.
Yeah, but you also, if you have inexperienced drivers or you're renting your car out, it eliminates the driver factor in blowing up your car.
True. But no matter what, when you're picking out a car, you gotta make sure that you have good metal to weld to. That's something I also want to mention.
I'd also say, I mean, sure, you can do the touring car paint job, blah, 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 but you're talking about a tan Volvo wagon with a brown interior. You could also just put a number on the door and you're done.
Yeah,
and that would be
a baby on board sticker.
Some Bernie Sanders stickers on the
Bernie Sanders, a bunch of little, like the dad and then the kid and then the kid. Yeah, that could work.
Whole Foods grocery bags in the back.
Anyway, so and then but then of course completely abandoning my my front engine rear-wheel drive. I had to get something with some passion in it, because this was another thing. That first the second Lemons race, there was both an Alpha GTA and a GTV that were there, and Jay, I mean, you had to have been lucky that those cars didn't like send shards of rusty metal into everyone just for looking at them.
No, that GTV was just this lacework of like one molecule thick metal holding air. No, that was the most terrifying car of all. I've owned a bunch of GTVs, and I know if you like run a a shopping cart into the rear of those cars, the whole rear half just buckles under. So no, that was terrifying.
But
Casey, this looks pretty rough. It's not looking like it's running.
Okay, let's see.
It's a
It was
manual,
running
though.
before
That's cool.
park. These are all things. So this is something I will give a shout out to former car and driver intern Rob Steele, who I would 100%
Invite.
recruit to be on this team, because he's just I think every car he's ever owned has been an Alfa Romeo, and I mean, I don't know, I mean, he's probably 30 at this point, and he's
This is the 3-liter Busso V6.
yeah,
It's a sweet sounding engine.
oh yeah,
really-
wonderful sounding engine. It's just a baby at 132,000 miles. You gotta love an instrument cluster that reads 5 miles or 500 RPM and 10 miles an hour when it's sitting still.
Casey, you're a glutton for punishment with this thing. When this was new, we sent John Phillips to a press event in Arizona somewhere. He drove the car back. By the time he got it back, the sunroof was stuck open. The HVAC, the climate controls weren't working. Then we got a long-term test car, and 6 or 8 months into the 40,000 miles, it put a rod out through the side of the block at Briarwood parking lot. And I mean, these things didn't run, they weren't reliable when they were brand new.
But that was the Milano, right, Cheva?
I thought the Milano was the one
Been
that
a
threw it.
Milano, but Milano 164, what's the difference? You
No,
know?
they made a lot of
Transaxle,
super reliable.
longitudinal.
Actually, I'll tell you, in
Reliable.
Lemons, there's a world of difference. When I was looking, you guys told me about this, and I was looking around too. I found a 164, and I almost sent it to you guys. I actually love these cars. You know, for 2 hours, they're great cars to drive. I would hate to own one. Yeah, that's what you need. But the Milano actually does really well in Lemons. There's a handful of Milanos that have been super. I mean, there's one that's done 39 races now and has been pretty competitive. So yeah, I think that's a better choice. There's your rear wheel drive. There's your V6. I'd go with Milano. I would say screw the 164. I think the 164 also weighs about a half a ton more.
Yeah, I couldn't find a Milano, but not a Milano that cheap. Their value is starting to.
Casey, your listing has all of the autofill for cheap cars that Craigslist should provide. Was running before park, will be sold with bill of sale.
Oh yeah, title status missing.
Yeah, perfect.
And then okay, so but again, I just want to remind people that Alfa, in the 80s built a crazy F1 powered, I think they call it the 164 Pro car, but
yeah, you could make your car into that totally.
You could try.
Sure.
Jay would let that fly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, we need that.
And then this is my last one, which is yet again, it does not conform to any of my
non-running.
any of my principles.
Oh my God.
This thing looks exactly like Butch's car from Pulp Fiction, so you could just do a whole Pulp Fiction theme with this, which would be wonderful.
I think Butch's car was the generation after this, Casey, wasn't it?
It was close enough. It was the same color.
And it was
I think this is
girlfriend's car. It was his girlfriend's car, not his.
true.
Thing
Sure.
is nice.
Notice that this one doesn't say running before park. It simply says non-running, period.
But Chubba, that might just be because they lost the key.
Yeah.
Well, that could be.
But doing a race and something, doing a Lemons race and something, you could I just probably paint an orange pylon on the back of it, because it would be probably the slowest thing on track. But just to run that thing for 24 hours or 2 12-hour enduros, whatever it is, to finish would be an accomplishment.
Yeah, doesn't he see Marcellus Wallace at the intersection and runs?
Oh yeah, and just smokes.
And then they get into the big fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Tony has to dress up as Zed.
I like that a lot. I like the colors. I mean, it's straight as can be. I think that's a winner. There's a team in Texas that's been running one of those forever. And every time you see that car, if it's in a corner, it's up on 3 wheels, just happy as can be. I think this is you're gonna do a whole lot more laps in any weekend than Tony's or Chubba's E36. So no, I think this is a good car.
Where is it in California, Casey?
Portland.
No, this was up near
Oh,
Portland.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
You could put a katana holder in the rear window
Yeah.
for your Butch theme.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
have a gimp.
You could have that in the back seat.
But I also did want to suggest to Jay that that he needed to update his $500 cap with inflation.
Well,
but
we've
it
been
turns out
talking
I am
about
grossly wrong about how much inflation has affected $500 since in the last 14 years.
Yeah, no, that comes up fairly often, but just $500 has such a nice ring to it. And there's sort of so many ways to work around it anyway.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, every time you from the outside looking in, you say, oh, there's no such thing as a $500 car. How long does it take you? 4 minutes to find like 30 of them on Craigslist? So
Yeah. There was a 190E I found that I really wanted to use, but it's got to be if I'm racing the car, it's got to be a manual transmission.
All right, thank you, Casey. You want to unshare? And I'll,
I will stop sharing.
Let's see. What do I have? I don't even remember.
Wait a minute. How many running cars do we have so far?
Jonathan, you've picked all of the running cars.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah. No, we've established that. Yep.
Just making sure. Okay.
That the Oldsmobile in South Dakota, Jonathan, 98.
So far, that is in the lead.
It's not going to be the most fun to race, but you're going to get a lot of racing done.
But you're paying a big premium for those running cars, you know. I mean, you're running
Only
cars
compared to $1. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, but there's a reason people gave up on those cars. All right, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is our first Aurora. That was our first race. And somebody jumped it not jumped it. They were driven or drove into this tire and killed the steering, which we then fought for the rest of the race. There it is. So I decided I wanted to find an Aurora.
One of the best modifications to that car that did not make it, I think, to racing was the Ferguson brothers plumbed the washer tank into like the exhaust and then filled the washer bottle with like old oil. So it was like when you hit the washer, it was smoke screen, and it worked. It worked like 3 times in the parking lot, and then it just got clogged up.
The pump died.
Yeah, the pump died because it was just the viscosity was not happy.
So this thing runs. I just want to point out that my North Star runs. This is the 4-liter North Star, and when I raced in the original Lemons, I picked a North Star car because it can run without coolant, and I figured it was gonna run out of coolant at some point.
Tone, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, looking at the article.
Oh,
yeah.
Can you see it now? Oh, wait, it paused. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, I scrolled over the screen sharing thing. Sorry about that. So this is the 4-liter North Star, and I picked it because, it can run without coolant. And this one runs, it just needs some brake work, or, the brake lines are broken.
That's outside the $500 threshold. You're good.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell some parts off of this because there's a thriving Aurora community that's always looking for parts.
Yeah.
Aurora community.
It will particularly
thriving and Oldsmobile do not usually go in the same sentence.
It's got about the same mileage as mine did, which was around 175,000 miles before I raced it. It ran the entire race except for, the things that we broke, but the car itself was fine. The power steering. What's that, Jonathan?
Let's see those photos.
Oh, you can't see them?
It's not scrolling. Click on them. Yeah, do like what Chubba did.
Can you see them now?
Still on the white one.
Still on the first photo.
Yeah, the first photo.
Now?
While you're figuring that out, I should point out to you that while the North Star would run without coolant, the 300 horsepower dropped to about 60 horsepower when you were running without coolant. And,
yes, Chubba, but you're still running.
You are still running.
There we go.
We took an Eldo with the North Star in it out to the test track, drained the coolant, and then ran the full performance testing on it. And it lost a considerable amount of power, but it did survive. I will say that.
Can you guys see? Can you guys see the photos now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's about as good a shape as the one that I bought 13 years ago, and here we are 13 years later.
And that car was also it was voted. What was it voted?
Oh, People's Curse back when there
People's Curse. Yeah.
And I actually gave it the last vote so that it would get People's Curse.
Yeah.
What is people's curse?
You'll see.
Jay, you want to tell us what people's curse
Well,
is?
it's something that hasn't happened now for about.
Oh,
a
wait, go back up to that
decade.
photo of Jay.
There's a photo of Jay.
Wasn't it? Was
No.
Oh no, that's not Jay.
Oh no, that's Ed Pacini. So what we used to do back when we were still,
There it is.
Yeah, back when we were trying to scare away the NASCAR douchebags and the SCCA douchebags, we would give every team a ballot with all of the other teams on them, and they would circle the one that they hated the most and thought was the biggest douchebags. And at the end of the race, we'd pull that car off and we'd destroy it. In this case, with sledgehammers and a rollover. But after a couple of years, we'd pretty thoroughly scared away those particular douchebags. So we stopped doing it. I felt bad. Like the last guy to get it was a perfectly nice guy, and he just happened to be a good driver. That seemed to me to be the wrong reason to destroy a guy's car. So we stopped doing it. But it was certainly fun while it lasted.
Chubba, we got the people's curse about a decade ago with the Prelude, and it was because we just drove so quickly.
That's
But there
why.
was one particular race where it was raining on Saturday, and that car was just terrific in the rain. And most of us had a little bit of experience too, but we were by far the fastest car on Saturday. And then Saturday night, we got the people's curse. And as I recall, we were supposed to parade around the pits and be apologetic. And I had the bullhorn and was basically saying, you guys are a bunch of assholes and we're not going to apologize at
That
all.
was being so honest. I love it. Oh man.
I think you are eliminating that part where before that happened on Saturday, like 40 teams all gathered and they had all marked the impact on their car where your Prelude had hit them during the race. I think you've elided right over that part.
Well, that's because it was totally untrue. That's a figment of the imagination. Well, those guys thought if you outbraked them entering a corner, you were doing some sort of illegal maneuver. I mean,
yeah, that was upsetting. There was a lot of bad driving in that race for sure. Especially the rain really brought it out.
Oh yeah.
All right, my next car.
I feel like there are a few HOAs that should use the people's curse technique.
So this car, this is the SLC, so it's super rigid.
Oh.
And
Easy.
it's already set up for this livery, for the rally car livery that Mercedes-Benz did.
And it has the rear spoiler on it already.
Yep. So I'm going to build this. So this is my team entry, is the Mercedes
Really
rally car. And
Don't
unfortunately,
Don't want it that glossy
Really
though,
gonna last
Tony.
a long time.
Unfortunately, it ran before it was parked. So,
That's really good.
Could be restored. It could.
Exactly. The anti-theft wheel lock is in the lock position, and even with the key, it won't disengage. That's fine. We can fix
That's
that.
easy. You get rid of that.
AMG wheels, which I could probably sell for a decent amount of money.
That's
So I'm at $500. I could probably get $500 for those wheels, and then I have a lot of money to get this running.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer. That's your car. That's it. That's what you're going to spend the next 7 years of your life figuring out.
So you can finish 14th.
Right?
So you can finish 14th at Gingerman.
Yeah,
And
14th out of 20. I mean, yeah. That's
And those Mercedes parts are so cheap too.
right.
Yeah, I need some sort of sponsorship, Chubby. You're absolutely right.
What happened to that steering wheel?
It rotted.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah.
Wow.
What happened to the whole interior, Jonathan?
Well, there's that.
It looks like a family of raccoons took residence there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful car. Anyway,
I like it. I like it.
The next one's a bit of a wild card. It's this Pontiac Transport pickup.
Didn't Mike Austin race one of these?
He
Speaking
did.
of 3800s, it had a 3800 in it too, didn't it?
This one's not a 3800. This is the first model year. The 3800 I don't think came until like 92 or 93. But so this is the 3100. But it's fine. It's fast.
Daily driver, weather permitting. I love it.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Isn't that fantastic? Needs a few repairs.
Really good.
It
That's
is
really
good
good.
news. It's titled.
Needs a few repairs is the only thing, and it's the parentheticals are all lowercase, and that's the only one that gets its own line.
And I love, you got to call me and I'll call you right back. Like that dude is at a phone booth waiting for you to call. He'll put a quarter in and call you back.
I don't know. I want to get into the mind of the guy that did this because he and I think alike. And it would make putting a cage in really easy because you've opened up so much space. and it looks like it's in good shape. I think it would be fun to drive. The 3-speed automatic's a minus because these early ones had 3-speed automatics with the 3100. But you know, great motor, great trans, new exhaust. It runs light. It's already lightweighted. I love it.
You probably want to put some ballast back there.
You could definitely do like a Santa's sleigh type theme, which I think people have done, right, Jay?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we've had a really good Santa sleigh, oddly made out of, I think, a Ford Escort. This would have been a much better starting point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Much better. I mean, I've got the whole sleigh area set up.
This thing's really good. This thing's really good. You know, I don't say this very often, but I'm not sure you'd want to ruin it by racing it. This could just be kind of your everyday car right here.
It has all that fine Pontiac cladding too. That's very, very tasty.
Yeah. This is great. This is a why GM went bankrupt car.
No, that's perfect. You go, you pick up your groceries. If a cart hits you in the parking lot, you know, it's got the cladding. You're totally fine. The car's gonna be perfect.
And he's thoughtfully put in the brake lights too, because the brake lights used to be up here on the pillars, and he's put them in here. You're ready to race.
Wow.
I love
really
it.
good. You know what you need? You need this car, and then you need a big fiberglass horse in the back. That's what you really need.
How did that thing stay square when he cut it up?
It probably is.
Oh,
Yeah, square.
okay.
Who said it's square?
Good point. Sorry.
It looks totally square. It's fine.
Yeah. No, that's why
Well,
there's.
that's
no
the thing is, it
tailgate
does
on
look square, and I'm wondering how it remains.
I mean, he basically made an avalanche.
Well, sort of. You
Translanche. You got to change that name. Translanche.
Yeah. You probably don't have to worry about lifting a wheel when you're cornering because it doesn't have the torsional rigidity to do that anymore.
Right. No, we call that keeping all of your rubber on the racetrack. No, this is going to be
Maximizing traction.
Yeah.
All right. Now we've come to the part of the show where we judge each other's picks, but most importantly, Jay is going to judge our picks to determine which car is the best Lemons candidate. And who went first? Jonathan, you went first. I think that 98's a pretty good bet. I really like that, but I mean, it's up to you.
I mean, I'm tempted to go with the Apex Assassin, but I've got to take the Broham, the Oldsmobile. That's the
Total
one.
thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Yeah. No, the Broham is way thumbs up.
Joe, what do you think about his 98? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Remember, it ran.
Yeah,
Oh, come on. Come on.
I always hate those things out on the track. I can't go for that one. Sorry.
All right, so thumbs down. You giving it a
Thumbs down.
All right. And then Jay, what you think that was one of your favorites, right, Jay?
Oh yeah, no, hands down, that's the car. That's the car. And if it irritates Chubba on track, so much the better. I count that as a big plus. So.
All right.
Why am I not?
Chubba, you went next. Which of your are you picking that BMW? You picking that Civic? The crashed BMW?
I think the two stronger picks are the Civic and the BMW. And the Civic is probably the better pick to do well and be a satisfying car. But the BMW has the snob appeal all the way. So I'm not sure which one I would pick on those. I guess if I wanted to do well, I'd probably pick the Civic.
Yeah, I got to give that a thumbs up. It was only $111 bucks.
Yeah, I almost picked a Civic because I knew it'd be easy to fix and it would run forever.
I agree. I think that's sort of a no-brainer as to the least heartburn, best results, and all that. The only thing I would say about that, what we have shown, we run these races that are 14 and a half hours to 24 hours, depending on the track. Those Civics tend to run about 12 hours, and they do great, and then the head gasket lets go, or the head fails, which is what happened to this one. So just bring a spare head gasket, between the two sessions, change that out, and you're going to dominate. I think that's a great car.
Well, the other thing that I forgot to mention too is I think it was a 2001 or so. So you can still get parts for it. When we raced that Prelude, front half
first gen Prelude, right?
Honda, yeah. So you end up buying these Chinese ones from Pep Boys with dubious results. And on that Civic, it's new enough that I think you can still get genuine Honda parts, which really helps the reliability.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a third gen Civic, isn't it?
I think maybe a fourth gen.
It's 88 or 89.
No, that was a 2001, I think.
Oh no, sorry, your Prelude. Your Prelude.
Prelude was an '88.
Yeah.
It's a second gen, isn't it?
The third?
No, I think it's third.
Is it third?
gen.
Yeah.
It's the lower cowl one. All right, KC, what are you picking?
Oh yeah, I'm going with that. Probably the Volvo, probably.
Oh yeah.
Thumbs up. Total.
Slow
Yeah,
and steady wins the race.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, after a couple of races, you find a small block, and then it instantly gets quicker.
Yeah. Yep, that's a plan.
I'm gonna go with my Aurora just because if I go back into Lemons, I want to go back into the car that I
No.
No?
No.
Everyone give it thumbs down?
I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Shova says thumbs down.
This may be a sympathy thumbs up.
Now, what if I put up the Pontiac Transport? How would that?
That's a transport van.
Yeah.
Why would you want to set up?
All right.
No, and I think your concept too of selling parts off the Aurora, there's a little bit of crack smoking going on there. I mean, unless you go to Aurora Palooza, nobody wants that stuff. So no, it's got to be the transport.
It was a point of pride, though, Jay. The Wikipedia entry for the Oldsmobile Aurora briefly had its racing provenance in the 24 hours of Le Mans. But I checked today, and it's gone. But if you look through the versions, it'll be there.
You don't say it's gone, Tone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when the racing provenance on Wikipedia says 24 hours of Lemons, that is de facto proof that it is not a good race car.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Jay. I think that was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, KC. And we'll see you next week.
So, yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks, guys.